Hey guys, the activity today is module 1.2, which the notes should be on the classroom. They are notes, but there aren't any notes that you have like fill in the blank notes to go with. So you'll see that slide 2 is talking about what temperament and personality is, because the other day I think I mentioned that we're talking about genetics, but who you are, your personality, your temperament is not really genetic. It's more like these natural preferences, these tendencies you have. You do learn it from others. So if you have very calm parents, you sometimes can be very calm. If your parents are very they're very hyper and so on, you can learn some of those, or sometimes because they're so hyper, you might be very calm to kind of balance it out, and vice versa. So you're going to learn some of these temperaments from the people around it, but a little bit, but not like a little bit, but most of it is you are born with these automatic responses to situations. And scientists are still trying to understand that. So what we want you to do today is, because we're learning about health and your particular health, that what I want you guys to do is take a temperament test. Now, it's not graded like a test, but this is like a personality test, temperament test, IQ test, something that's going to give you results. And there are 4 basic temperaments. So if you look on slide 3, it says you'll take a temperament test to find out your temperament to understand it better, because we will be referring back to your temperaments as we learn about health. Some people are going to be just very self-motivated. Some people are going to need a little bit of extra kind of push. Some are going to push back if anybody kind of pushes them. Some temperaments are going to be more prone to having addiction tendencies and stuff. So understanding kind of your temperament and your personality is going to help you just be healthier. So I made this video because I wanted to make sure that I explained this test. Okay. So everybody's going to get a copy of this test. The sub has them on her desk, and you're going to read through them, and you're going to select the answer that best completes the thought for you, and record that letter in your first choice column on the next page. So if you look at this page, you will see that there is a first choice column and a second choice column, okay? And I have an example in there. Just cross that off and actually put your actual response. So if you read through number 1, and it says, after shopping at the grocery store, I naturally, A, put my cart away after the cars driving in the parking lot are safely passed, and others who are headed for the cart corral have finished. You're kind of like waiting for everybody else to do their thing, and then you put your cart back. B, put my cart away and feel like encouraging other shoppers to put theirs away too. So you might be walking back to your car and be like, hey, don't you forget, you should probably put your cart away. C, put my cart away neatly, shoving other carts deeper into the corral so they are lined up better. Put my cart away and look around to see if anyone I know is nearby. So you're immediate like, yep, that's what I would do. Now some of them are like, oh, I would probably do both. And that's where you get that first and second choice. Now, someone might say C is definitely what I would do every single time. Like, I'm not going to wait. Like, you might do A, but you may not be waiting. Obviously, I hope that you wait for the cars to pass. Don't want you to get hit by a car. But you may not be waiting for everybody else to put their carts away before you put your cart away. You just might head right there, and it doesn't bother you that you didn't wait. Does that make sense? So like whatever you would initially do first, you're going to put that letter in that first choice answer slot. Like I said, cross off the one I have and the C is your answer, and then put that in there. Then what would you do next? Okay, like, yeah, I would do A first because I'm that kind of person. But then once I actually got to the cart corral, then I would put my cart away neatly and shove all the other carts in there. Or are you just someone that just kind of shoves your cart to it and hopes it makes sense in there. So I would put something like A, and then C would be my second choice. And then that's how I would do that. And you're going to do that for all 10 questions. Okay, so like, what is your immediate gut response? Is your first response. And then what would you do next? If like none of them sound like something you would do next, like just really like think about it. Like, okay, probably this one. If I really, because I really don't like these options. Okay. So you have that down. You have your first choice and your second choice. And I would do them at the same time. Like read question 1, my first choice, my second choice. Read question 2, first choice, second choice. And then do that. Okay. I wouldn't do all my first choice and then go back and do my second choice. That just takes a little bit longer. Okay. So after you've done that, you've got your first and second choice columns filled. You're going to do the next step, which is you're going to analyze your response. So your first and second choice answers reflect your temperament. So using the key, so this key down here at the bottom, okay, write the initial for the temperament next to your choice in the temperament test table. So what the initials, so there are 4 temperaments and they start with P, C, M, and S. Okay, so those are the initials. So let's come back here. So this first choice was C, right? And so you would come down here and you'd find question 1 and you would find your answer A, B, C, or D. You find C and what letter is there? So question 1, answer C. I have the letter M. So I would come up here to the initial from key and I would put an M. Then I would look at my second choice, which this one happens to be D. So question 1, D would be an S. So I would put an S right there. Okay. And then you do that whole thing, both of them all the way down and onto the back. Okay. Then you're going to figure out what your dominant trait is and your secondary temperament is. Okay. And there's like this example, but I feel like, I don't know. You get like half a letter point versus a full letter point. So you would count up for your dominant one. You would count up. So your one for person's first choice answers, and they list them all out. The person had 5 P's and 3 M's. We would give a point to each P and M and ignore the C and S because they only appeared once. I can't talk. This respondent's second choice answers were such and such. They had 4 P's and 3 M's. We would give each of these second choice half a letter point. So the respondent for this test has 7 points for P because they had 5 the first time and then 2 points for the second because of half a point. So they had 7. Okay. And then with a secondary temperament of melancholic. So they had 3 M's and then 2 points. So they had 5 M's. Okay. So they had 7 as their dominant trait and 5 as their secondary trait. Does that make sense? And then once you have figured that out, you're going to go back to your notes and back to the slides, and slide 4 has confirm your results. So kind of another way to, you can definitely ask someone, be like, hey, do you really think that this kind of matches me? But another way to kind of is to remember your gut reaction to the test. Like when I first told you, hey, we're going to take a personality temperament test. What was your reaction? If you're initially thought, hey, this is going to be kind of fun to figure out what I am, then sanguine is probably your dominant trait to kind of double check. And if you have sanguine, then you're like, yeah, that's about right. I think it's a waste of time to analyze yourself. Then you're phlegmatic. After taking it, you wanted to contest your answers, like you did not like your answers. You're like, that is not who I am. You're probably choleric, okay? And then afterwards, you wanted to retake and make suggestions about word choices. You're like, I don't really like the way they worded that question. Then you're probably melancholic. It's just an example. So then the next four slides, 5, 6, 7, and 8, is reading about the strengths and weaknesses of each of these traits. So once you have figured out what you are, your dominant and secondary traits, I want you to read through those 2. You don't have to read the 2 that you are not quite yet. Read your dominant trait and read your secondary trait. I want you to read through those, okay? So once you've read through that, you're going to go to slide 9, it talks about their secondary temperament. No one is really purely one temperament. We do have like a blending of them, okay? They might be pretty equal numbers. And some people might be pretty like they have dominant, but then the other 3 are very equal. Or you may have all 4 that are pretty equal. So then I want you to go on to slide 10, okay? And you guys are going to write this on a blank piece of paper because you're going to turn this into me. You can also do this as a Google Doc if you want. You just need to share it with me. So Google Classroom is obviously up because that's where you guys are accessing your slides and so on. So you're going to look at the 4 previous slides, the 4 temperament slides, as a word bank for your dominant temperament. I want you to list 5 strengths and 5 weaknesses you see in yourself. So let's say that you are phlegmatic as your main personality trait. You're going to look at those traits. And you're going to be like, yep, I'm pretty consistent and I'm pretty good at listening and I'm very scientific, pretty patient as a leader and pretty punctual. So those would be my strengths. And then your weaknesses would be like, sometimes I can be really stubborn or sometimes I'm uncomfortable with conflict. Like I don't like that. You're kind of content with just giving the base minimum. You're prone to hoarding and you're kind of stingy. So you would write down your strengths and your weaknesses, 5 of them for your main temperament. And then you would look at 2 strengths and 2 weaknesses from your secondary temperament. So let's say that was sanguine. So again, you would find the two strengths and 2 weaknesses in those, okay? And then I want you to list 8 people that have those strengths. Okay. Oh, sorry. Number 3. I skipped number 3. You're going to look at the 4 previous slides and choose 8 strengths from any temperament. They can be from all the temperaments, from even ones that you don't have. Let's say you are phlegmatic and sanguine, but you really, really wish you had a few strengths from melancholic or choleric. Write down those strengths that you don't see in yourself that you know that you would like to have, okay? So this is kind of like a self-reflecting, like, I am someone who is just fine with the bare minimum, but I really want to be the type of person that wants to excel. So that would be a strength that you would write down. And then what you would do after that is you're going to think of 8 people that you know. They do not have to be at Genoa. They can be any 8 people that you know that have those strengths. So if there is somebody who just excels academically and you just really strive to be like that person in that particular area, then write that person's name down. And then what is kind of an action plan step that you can take to try to develop that trait? So you're good with just the bare minimum in school, you're fine with C's and D's, but yet you really want to be a B student, if not an A student. What kind of steps can you take to start moving that direction? Because this is all part of health. How can I make myself the best version of me? And that's going to include some of these things. And if you know your personality, that you are someone that sticks to routines, and you want to be better, then maybe you set a routine where I'm going to study every single night for 30 minutes. Whether I have a test or not, I'm simply just going to study the stuff that I learned today. And that sets a routine which fits your temperament and your personality. But it's also helping you get a strength that you don't have already, okay? And then the last thing you're going to do is answer these questions on the last slide, number 11, on just a separate sheet of paper, the back of the paper you already did, whatever. Make sure your names are on all these papers. But you're going to read through the 4 temperaments and put up there what, sorry, I just completely blanked out. What temperaments you think are the answers to those questions. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's going to be more than one. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I am going to, this video, I'm going to email this video to the teacher, so hopefully they have it. But it's also on Google Classroom so that you can look back on it as well. And I will see you guys tomorrow.